Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. So, even if you didn't see my video in January about how I'm going to be changing things a bit this year, you've probably noticed that I've put a couple of fan videos up on this channel. And yes, there are a few more to come, and my most recent one was kind of a decade in the making, which was the Sound of Music fan video to I'm Not That Girl from Wicked. I wanted to make that one ages and ages and ages ago. I actually did make it at one point, and it got taken down for copyright within a day. And that kind of put me off using clips from Sound of Music forever. Which is no longer the case after I did that video about the argument scene. Anyway, I wanted to make that video all those years ago, and again now, because I thought that that song fit Maria so well. And then that got me thinking, what songs from other musicals could fit with The Sound of Music? So I have 8-ish songs from other musicals that I think would fit the characters and certain circumstances within Sound of Music very well, and I'm just going to be sharing what they are and where I would put them within the Sound of Music timeline. So I'm going to be saying what the song is, where it takes place on its musical timeline, and then where I would put it in Sound of Music's timeline. So there will be spoilers for other musicals. After the fan video, the first one on this list is of course I'm Not That Girl from Wicked. Now, within Wicked, this song takes place towards the end of Act 1. Oliver has just arrived at her latest university class, and she's realised that her favourite professor, who is a goat, has been taken away because of animal injustice within the universe. The new professor has a lion cub in a cage, and it's implied that this is what's going to happen to the animals if things continue on this path in the land of Oz. Elphaba is absolutely outraged about this, so she has her moment of panic and her powers go crazy, sending the entire class into a flying dancing frenzy. And then she and Fiyero, our main love interest, run off and free the cub in the woods. He grows up to be the Cowardly Lion because of course he does. But after they free the cub, they have a little moment together, and you realise that they are obviously developing romantic feelings for each other. And as happens in these sort of situations, Fiyero panics and runs off, and Elphaba sings this song basically thinking about how loving him is futile because he would never like her back, and he also kind of has a girlfriend. So even if you haven't seen Wicked, even if you didn't watch my fan video, just by hearing me talk about that and knowing Sound of Music, you can probably see the similarities. Maria has developed feelings for a man that is off limits and that she believes is way out of her league, and he kind of also has a girlfriend. And personally, I think this song could be put in 2 places on the Sound of Music timeline. I think it would either fit right before she leaves, at the end of Act 1 in the movie, and just before Climb Every Mountain in the show, and when she comes back. I think both of those moments within the timeline are when she's thinking about this sort of thing. But personally, I would probably put it right after the dance. I think that fits slightly better, and also because number 2, I'm Not That Girl reprise. I'm Not That Girl reprise takes place about midway through Act 2 in Wicked, and it happens right after Elphaba's gone back to see the wizard and has run into Fiyero and Glinda again, and she and Fiyero run off together, leaving Glinda stranded at her own engagement ball. And so Glinda sings the song as a way to show how she and Elphaba have switched places in this regard. And it is just the final stanza of the original song with the Rose and Pearls line axed. So you can probably tell that Elsa would be the one singing this in Sound of Music, and it would happen right here. And that's actually what I kind of did with my fan video. I didn't want to leave it with an unhappy ending, so I did a last minute POV shift. This would fit less into the stage version of Sound of Music, but it would still work. Pivoting away from Wicked, we're going back to Julie, and that is I Could Have Danced All Night from My Fair Lady. In My Fair Lady, this takes place after Eliza Doolittle has finally started speaking proper English. It's 3 in the morning and she's finally learned how to say, "The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain," with no trace of a Cockney accent, and everybody is really excited and he swoops her up into a dance. And after that she's completely high on happiness and just wants to remember. And Julie maintains it is a love song, so take from that what you will. I'm Team Higgins, Freddie sucks, but I've got a whole video about how Freddie sucks. As for Sound of Music, I would place this right after the dance, but before Maria gets confronted about her feelings by Brigitte on stage and Elsa in the film. Obviously, given the situation, Maria is definitely scared about what she's feeling, even before she has the talk, but at the same time, you know there is a part of her that is on cloud 9 after the dance. The next up on the list we have a couple songs from Beauty and the Beast. First one being Something There. So obviously within Beauty and the Beast this takes place as Belle and the Beast are falling in love. It's the falling in love montage song. With Sound of Music this is a bit of a tricky one as to where I would put it, because in a way I feel like it fits the characters and their journey better than it does a specific moment within the story, because a lot of the bonding that inevitably happens between Maria and the Captain we don't actually see. Maybe it's my fanfiction fueled brain. I've been writing stories about them for 11 years. But I think it's pretty clear that there has been quite a bit of bonding between these two behind the scenes. I think between this point and this point they've definitely spent some time together. This is also not helped by the fact that there's a large chunk of scenes in the movie that are completely absent from the musical. As I said, it's the falling in love montage song, and Maria and Gail don't really get a falling in love montage. But as far as the film goes, I would probably put it after Edelweiss. There was actually a deleted scene in the film that was just Maria looking out of her bedroom window the night of Edelweiss and just thinking about everything that had happened. Next up is another Beauty and the Beast one, but this one is from the stage version, and that is A Change in Me. Belle sings this song to her father after she's come back to check he's okay, after the Beast has let her go, and it's her telling Maurice that the Beast has changed. The Beast is not at all what she expected when she first arrived at the castle, and that in turn has changed who she is. And obviously in Sound of Music, Maria and Gail get off on a bit of a wrong foot, though far less dramatically than in Beauty and the Beast. And personally, if Maria was singing this, I'd probably put it right after she gets back to the villa. As I said, in Beauty and the Beast, Belle's singing it to her father, so I could see Maria singing it to the children in kind of the same way, which would actually make the reveal that the Captain's getting married far more brutal. Regarding what Maria is feeling about the Captain, I feel like it might fit earlier, but the big reason I'd kind of put it here is because one of the lines is, "I'd never dreamed I'd leave behind my childhood dream." Next up we have another Disney song, that being from Hercules, which is I Won't Say I'm in Love from Hercules. This song is awesome. Hercules as a movie is a hot mess, but this song is awesome. Meg is awesome. Meg sings this song after she and Hercules have had their little date, I guess. And she's happy because she is falling in love, but she's constantly telling herself that boys are bad news. Fiancé cheated on her after she literally wished to bring him back from the dead via a deal with the god of death. It's complicated. I actually really don't know where I'd put this one. I think it's just more a thing. Basically the perfect song for a fan video. I think somebody did actually make a fan video with that song for Sound of Music. Let me know if you want me to do that, because I will. I'm not the first person who did I'm Not That Girl. Pivoting away from Disney, our next one is another Rodgers and Hammerstein song, that being I Whistle a Happy Tune from The King and I. In The King and I, Anna sings this to her son right before they arrive at Siam, and she tells him that she's a bit nervous about meeting the king, but when she's nervous, she just whistles to herself, and that makes her feel better. In a way, it kind of gives you My Favourite Things vibes, which means this is another one where I kind of put it in two places, specifically because it reminds me a little bit of My Favourite Things, and my favourite thing takes place in completely different points on the timeline, depending on whether you're talking about the stage or the screen. So basically I'd put it at either the thunderstorm or right before she leaves to go to the villa. And I think it would fit the stage version better. On stage, my favourite thing is a song between the Reverend Mother and Maria, right before Maria is told that she's going to go off to Von Trapp Villa. And I would put it there because while it gives me my favourite things vibes, it also gives me I have confidence vibes. And if you put it at that point in the timeline, it can sort of double as both. The final one. This is kind of an honourable mention / one that kind of works but also doesn't. And that is Legally Blonde from Legally Blonde. I think the first half of this song really fits Maria, but the second part doesn't, which is why it's kind of an honourable mention. Within Legally Blonde, this song takes place right after Elle Woods and her team win their first day at court, but then Professor Callahan calls her into his office and makes advances on her, which confirms Elle's fears that she isn't being taken seriously in the world of law, and so she leaves. This is the song she sings right before she leaves. She was very hesitant about whether she could do any of this when she arrived, and she has just been told, you don't belong here, which is exactly what Maria feels right after she's confronted about her feelings for the captain. So the first half of the song really does fit with when Maria would be leaving the party, which is where I'd put it. But in the second half of the song, main love interest Emmett catches her, and he tells her she is worthwhile, she does belong here, and she doesn't need to run off because he loves her. Elle is still emotionally distressed that she runs away anyway, but obviously nothing like that happens in Sound of Music. So yes, if you couldn't tell, I put this right at the end of movie Act 1. And I also may have written a fanfic inspired by this song. One of the most popular alternate universes Sound of Music story is the captain stopping Maria from leaving the night of the party. If you were writing Sound of Music fanfiction in the mid-2010s, you had written this story. I've written it 3 times, and I think if he had been able to catch her before she left, it would have played out exactly like this song. Even though only half of the song fits with Sound of Music as it exists, I still think it fits well enough to be counted. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. There are probably plenty of other songs from other musicals that could fit into the Sound of Music storyline that I just couldn't remember or don't even know about. There are a lot of musicals that I am completely blind to. I'm hoping to remedy that somewhat soon, but for now those are the 8 that I thought worked best. Let me know which one of those songs you think fits best with Sound of Music. What other song from a musical you think would fit with Sound of Music. Stay safe, guys. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next time. So long.